execute cleanly.
Cap, in a way, they kind of mirror each other a little bit in that respect, don't they? Yuar's been playing absolutely fantastic. That's hero-based fun. But on the other side, it's very focused for OG. You can look into everything they've done so far, and you can see that he's playing really well. CNC.
For me, like, I remember watching Wings before TI6, and I had Faith Beyond. I put right next to his name, best offlaner, ? I did the same thing this year with Snaking. I said top 3. It seems like it. Like, from his position, he's a monster.
I'm sensing some NA bias.
What? I just said the OG backbone was stronger. Come on, Paul. Fair and balanced here on the NA panel, okay?
Brian was kind of like, oh, do I go in as well?
Yeah. Do I join the bandwagon?
Joking aside, he's had a fantastic tournament as well.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just concerned whether or not they're going to be able to keep up with the pace that OG sets. OG, what they've done all tournament is they kind of passively chill for about 15 minutes, and then suddenly, like that, it's on, well, right? Yeah. And I don't know if they're going to be ready for that. Maybe you can watch replays, you can study them, and you can know what the timings are, but in the middle of a game, it's just so hard to adjust to that as it's happening.
I've heard a few criticisms from fans who are a little bit skeptical about this NEWBEE side. They don't think maybe they're the real deal. They watch some of the group games, and the criticism, if they have any right now, is that they're a little bit too dependent on a specific pool of heroes right now, which OG could easily just ban out, and then that kind of ruins their game. Do you go along with that?
Yeah, I think when you know more heroes, you're able to pick the perfect hero for the game rather than the hero that you feel the most comfortable with. And OG's ability to just kind of plug in any hero to their strategy is probably their biggest advantage going into the series.
And also NEWBEE's downfall potentially here as well. I mean, we don't know because we don't necessarily know whether we've seen everything that they've got, or maybe they haven't showed everything they've got. Maybe they've got 2 or 3 other things they can show us.
You know, I was just listening to an interview with Zai, and something he said was, I thought, really interesting. He said the most important day of TI is that break day between groups and main stage. Because he said that's where you're going to figure out exactly what you want to do for the rest of the tournament. That's where you're going to figure out exactly what the meta is and how it applies to your team.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Thank you very much, gents. I think we're all looking forward to the start of this one. It's not too far away, ladies and gentlemen. Our draft for Game 1 is about to begin.
OG versus NEWBEE. Game 1.
For the second year in a row, OG starts their TI main event playing up against Yuar, Snaking, and MSS, this time under the NEWBEE banner. I'm joined here by Kezu and Gunnar, 2 guys, no strangers to competing on the major stage. These 2 teams, very, very different stylistically. OG, shortest average match duration in the tournament, under 35 minutes. They're the only team. NEWBEE, second longest at 46. Big picture first, how do you think these teams are approaching this draft? What are sort of the big differences that we're looking for going in?
OG kind of likes to pick a hardware carry, and same with NEWBEE. So I think both of them are going to later pick Yuar's hero and Anna's hero respectively. And also Snaking also likes kind of lane winners. Like he picks his axe and then he'll lane, and he'll win the lane for his team. He kind of plays this like kind of carry from the off lane. They kind of focus more on 3 cores instead of 2. Some teams will play more on only mid and carry. Some go like 4, like TNC. They'll have 4 cores. I think this is a nice 3-core team from the side of NEWBEE.
Yeah. I think OG, they play so aggressive so that you kind of have to adjust to what they're doing. Like if you draft greedy against them, I think you're going to lose.
Yeah.
So I hope that NEWBEE, they do play greedy sometimes with some more late game-ish heroes. So I hope that if they do that they at least compensate with the other 4 so that they can match their tempo in like the early and mid game.
Yeah, Paul brought up that stat about OG being the lowest average last hits per game. That's because of the match duration.
Yeah.
They're also the highest average team kills per game, despite that match duration. These guys are so good at identifying key early kill lanes. Do you agree with the point that Cap made about worrying about whether Yuar in particular is going to be able to sustain that lane pressure?
I'm a little worried. They picked him AM in the group stage, and that hero had kind of low success. NEWBEE, they won with the AM, like 2 times I saw it, but most of the teams lost a lot because he doesn't do well against early lane pressure. And since OG kind of plays these like fast early game, I'd be a little scared if NEWBEE picks this more like AM, maybe even a morphing type of hero that doesn't really lane well.
Yeah, I just think, like I said before, I think you need to be ready when you play against OG. And it's either by helping your lanes or understanding, okay, we may have to sack this lane and go elsewhere. Because if you go there and you give them these kills in these situations because you respond wrongly, you're going to give them such a big lead and they will keep running at you like dogs the whole game. And you will keep feeding. You need to be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. If there is one constant about OG, they have first picked the Enchantress every time it has been available, every time it's gotten through the bans in every single match at TI. And in fact, that hero it's the only one. It's been first phase banned in over 2/3 of our draft. Is that kind of your highest value hero right now, or do you have a couple others that you'd put up there?
Yeah, I think it's a high value hero. We saw in the Infamous series yesterday, it was open and they insta took it for Whisper. And and here I think that they're probably going to first pick it as well. It's a strong laner, like we said. We want him to have a good lane.
Right.
So if OG picks this Enchantress, who is going to have a good lane almost no matter what, it's a little scary for NEWBEE at that point. So I think they're probably going to ban it in the first 3.
The hero, it just applies so much pressure, and like you need to nearly always try lane the hero, or it will free farm, like no matter what. You have some good responses with heroes that can maybe push out the wave and then go jungle or whatever, but I don't know if you want to give this type of hero to OG, because it kind of just speeds up their tempo like really hard in the game.
Yeah, I agree. I want to go back earlier to something that the panel was talking about as well. This mid matchup, I think he's going to be so big in this series. Gunnar in particular, you know CNZ pretty well, having played against him in the North American scene. Is this guy going to be able to stand in lane against Thompson, who just showed up at TI last year, and it's like people didn't know what to do against him mid?
Yeah, I think so. Like watching him, like playing with him against him, over the past year, he's improved like a lot since I think it was Grant said. His laning, was kind of, it was good, but now it's great. I think so. His laning's much better. His confidence, I think, is improved a lot over the last year. He'll pick these heroes like Ember, and he fully trusts himself, and he trusts his team now to just go in, which is, I think, a little different from last year. I think last year he kind of was a little more laid back. He was trying to make sure, he wanted to play Dota, and now he wants to win Dota.
And Kezio, I want you to talk about playing against OG in particular from your position, from the support and the off-lane position. These guys are so active around the map. They're so confident in their reads. You see them, they'll lose a big team fight, respawn, and immediately just go back to that same lane. Does that change your mentality as a competitor?
No, it does. Like I said, when you play against OG, you need to think different, because they don't play like any other team. Even if you kill a hero from theirs, the rest of them, they will run at you and it will throw you off guard. And it's the same if they kill you somewhere and you're pushing out another lane on the opposite side. They're already going there. They already know that you want to go there, and they are coming to goddamn kill you. And so every time you need to think faster. You need to be aware of what's going on.
One of the nice things about them last year was they were one of the first teams to quickly buy back in the team fights. We saw in the grand final in game 5, they were roaching, and it dies, he buys back, they win the roach fight, and the game kind of swings really hard at that point, and OG wins TI. So they're one of the teams, I think, that is really good at these buybacks in the early mid game. Most late game teams are good at these buybacks, but the early game, I think it's gonna go well if OG buys back.
Yeah, as I think you guys have probably figured out by now, we are in a short technical delay here. We are going to get you into the draft as soon as possible. But your point about buybacks reminds me of something. It's not just buybacks, it's also kills. The kill economy in Dota is really strange this year. Early kills worth very little, late kills worth a lot. So you'll see there was a match in the group phase. NIP was 30-30 in an Alchemist game in kills. They had a 40K net worth lead. OG seems to be very, very good, not only at getting kills, but at getting kills where they matter, at getting kills where they really hurt you. Can you guys talk about that a little bit?
Early game kills are kind of weird right now because they increase the kill streak XP.
Yes.
So now when you go on a 3 kill streak in your lane, you get killed once, the enemy laner is the same level as you. So these kills are still important, but it's more important for the first 15-20 minute kills that you try to rotate them into objectives, or you make the enemy have to rotate towards you. Because either way, you turn these kills into pressure. Just taking the kill and then staying in your lane, hitting creeps, it's not that good anymore.
Yeah, like Anna was saying, they recently changed this XP thingy, where if you have a kill streak, you get a lot more bonus experience. And some people are really aware of that, and I think some teams, they didn't really catch on to that until a while ago. But I think OG, they're really good at them, at that. I also heard Matumba Man, he talks about this actively. Okay, this guy's a kill streak.
Yes.
If we kill him, we get a lot of experience, so it's great. And on top of that, OG are really good at kind of rotating on a tower and killing a guy there, and then kind of turning it into a tier 1 or a tower dive.
So it's really interesting you say that. It's some players have turned this into a bounty system, where it's hey, this guy is really big right now, we get him, that's a lot of resources.
It applies a lot more pressure on the guy that's ahead. If you're mid, solo kills the enemy mid, he ganks the enemy triangle, gets a triple kill, he's now dominating. You have to relax now. You can't be this guy who just goes in, you're gonna get 3 kills, you'll die, but you're oh, okay, they got 600 gold on, their offlane or whatever. It's all good, guys. I'm just gonna move on. Now, you get killed there, their offlaner's a higher level than you. So you have to make sure that you kind of chill when you're having a good early lead, and that's why a lot of the more games are slow. People are more choking people out. You're playing the map slow as a team, pushing in all the lanes, and then that's why a lot of games are ending with really high net worth advantages.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you talk about tempo-wise. This is one of the only TIs going back for a while. This is over 40 minutes average match duration in this TI. The games have been going a lot longer, partially for the reasons you're talking about. Mirana, I can't disagree with that as the first ban from OG as we're just getting underway here in our draft. This has been one of the more impactful heroes in the tournament. Slightly more successful actually at the support role.
Yeah. I mean, this hero, it just feels really good to play with. I think because the early game is pretty much sped up for a lot of teams. So you have the Moonlight, she can freely roam around, she arrows some neutral creeps, she feels good herself by getting those levels, and it's just working really well for a lot of teams.
I think MSS from NEWBEE has a really cool hero pool.
Oh,
he plays this Invoker for, he plays this Mirana for. He plays these kind of, because he used to play core. He used to play mid, and then he moved to offlane, and then he moved to 4, so he can't have this core mentality in these games, where he'll kind of have a slower lead, but it's just like he lost the offlane, and then he'll just farm back, come back, and now he's like a 4th core in this team sometimes, but then sometimes he's the hard 4, he'll buy some wards or whatever, kind of only get a blink, play with his team.
No, I'm really glad you brought up MSS because the panel was talking about snaking. I agree, he's had a great tournament, but I think MSS has been one of the best players at the event as well. 8 players at this event, 16 or more assists the game. Of course, terrifyingly, OG has 3 players on that list, but MSS up there as well. And particularly early, he's been so active around the map to relieve that laning pressure. Because you talked about some of the importance of that, especially against a team like OG.
Yeah. No, I think MSS has been playing great. Actually, I mean, all of their players, I think, have been stepping it up quite a bit. I also saw CCNC in their early matches. He was rolling over some people. I think it was Liquid, especially. In those series, damn, he was looking real strong.
So we also see the Chen. I was kind of worried for that. It gives this OG this early game tempo. It's one of the no-tail classics when he moved to support. He used to be a Meepo player, so he has this micro skill like built into himself. He's practiced it over the years. He played Meepo support too, but I don't think we're going to see that now. But this Chen ban, I think, is good for NEWBEE. It's with their bans, they're slowing the pace down. They're not giving away that Ench for the other game. They're not giving the Chen for the other game. So they're going to try to slow down, maybe get themselves like a comfortable position in the draft.
Yeah, and similarly, you see the reverse theme that on OG, they're worried about scaling. They're worried about Mirana scaling into the late game, as you talked about, possibly from the 4 role. And Pylai Dai, 34 and 16 in his career on the Warlock. That's one of the strongest scaling 5 position heroes in the game.
It also helps Yawar's lane. If you have a Shadow Ward in your carry, he'll kind of give a little more sustain in the lane. So banning the Warlock kind of makes your offlane a little stronger if you don't want to play against it. It's similar to the heroes like Bane that some teams will run if they want to protect their safe lane. You pick this 5, and their whole point in the game is to help your carry have a good game.
Absolutely. So we are getting into the first phase picks here, moments away. Elder Titan, the most picked hero in this tournament, extremely successful, but tempo-wise, again, Elder Titan in this patch, 20 and 6 in games that end before the 35-minute mark, only 21 and 24 in games that go past that point. OG, we all know they want to play fast.
Yeah, that actually surprises me about the stat of ET. I think the hero is really good throughout the entire game, not just early on. One thing to note is that Alchemist was not banned in the first phase. I think he's been highly contested throughout this entire tournament, but I can't really disagree with the bans of either of the teams.
Absolutely perfect.
The hero is really strong in the early game. Yeah, his aura is really good when you don't have, damage reduction items. You don't have hoods or pipes or armor.
Yeah.
So once it gets later in the game, some teams will buy ACs, they'll buy pipes, they'll buy plate mills, these kind of things, and it kind of offsets the aura for ET. But in the first 35 minutes, you're kind of more focused on getting drums, Yasha, Maelstrom for your carry, maybe for your mid a Blink Dagger, even a BKB. But once that's out, the aura is going to kind of crush you.
Well, NEWBEE coming into this draft, in their last 7 drafts, they had first phase 13 different heroes, and they're going continuing that stat. And of course, OG 4-0 in the group stage behind Ana's Core IO, going that HOD Aghanims Heart of Tarask build. Which of these first phases do you guys like more?
I kind of like OG's a little more, but that's just my personal take. I don't think Visage is that great. I know that they like it a lot because for them it's flexible, at least as far as I'm concerned. But I just think that this IO and ET, it's just so much comfort for OG. So I'm pretty sure that they feel really good about themselves right now.
Like I said, the early game is really strong with the Wisp ET. His aura is going to increase the damage once this Wisp hits 15 and his Ags. His spirits are just going to deal a crazy amount of damage in a team fight. So it's a little scary for NEWBEE.
And this is, of course, the 4th Visage pick of the tournament, 3-1 so far, still sitting on 111. Kind of unbelievably, only 6 heroes unpicked so far in this tournament. As we go into this second phase, obviously, NEWBEE, a lot of flexibility in its first phase here. This Tiny can be a core, can be at the support position. Where do you guys see Visage? Is this definitely a core?
I think most teams have run it as support.
Really?
More
Okay.
often than not.
Yeah.
I think the Tiny might look better as a core.
Okay.
If he gets this Blink Dagger, maybe Echo early, the Wisp has kind of high HP if he goes, Bracer or 2 or the Hod. But I think he doesn't have much armor. So this Tiny will combo him, hit him, 2 times, and maybe he gets low enough that the OG can't continue the fight.
Yeah, I agree with Gunnar. I think Visage is most suited right now for the support role. It's also how most people play them. Also something to note about OG's dual lanes, they usually synergize very well. Like let's say OG, they lane this Wisp and ET together. ET really enjoys a hero that can potentially help him, and if it's Wisp with him, I think it's actually really hard to run into this lane if you're NEWBEE.
It's also double movement speed. You get movement speed from Tether, and then the Wisp will match the ET's movement speed that he also gets from Spirit. So they're going to be, speedy, running at the enemy off lane if it's a safe lane Wisp. Axeban, I think that's more to protect their Visage. He does really well against birds. He's a natural Vanguard Crimson Guard buyer. And he, he can call the birds, he can kill them in a couple spins, so I think it's more to protect their Visages now.
I think,
go ahead.
Excuse me, I think Bad Rider or Bristleback would be really good for OG in this next phase, so I'm hoping that NEWBEE ban out one of them, preferably the Bad Rider.
So you like Bristleback for the physical damage against the birds, and you like Bat Rider just for the laning?
Bad Rider is just really annoying to deal with for these 2 heroes.
Okay.
He kind of burns through the Visage really fast. Same with Tiny, he has very low turn rate, and he's a slow hero on top of that. Also, it pairs really well with Relocate, at least for Bad Rider. And Bristleback is also just a very known counter to the bird.
He just turns around, has his passive. And then passive reduces damage, and then he gets blocked by Vanguard, so he takes actually no damage in the other game.
Yeah. So the Alchemist ban coming out in the second phase, you guys did talk about that in the first phase, been one of the more contested heroes in the tournament, second most banned. Actually, maybe first has moved ahead of Enchantress.
Yeah, so from OG's ban, you can see they don't want a slow game, because this Sven and this Alk in a slower game, they're going to be able to farm. So the OG is kind of trying to get this maybe slower game with the Wisp, but they don't being in a slow game. And from NEWBEE, you can see they're a little scared of the team fight from OG. They're banning the Magnus with RP, banning these team fight heroes you can kind of group around. Maybe they get a Blink Dagger, and then they frontline. So I think NEWBEE's kind of playing towards their slower style that they can fight into the enemy team without having to 5v5.
I think this is, by the way, low-key one of this man, Snaking's best heroes, Beastmaster. He is 14-2 in his last 16 pro games on that hero, and I think this gives them the option of forcing that tempo early. Beastmaster plays very fast. I still think there is some chance that this Visage will be in that core role with the Beastmaster aura.
Definitely could be. Definitely could be.
The birds have a low BAT, I think, so they work much better with the Beastmaster aura. Also, I think Beastmaster is a little undervalued right now for what he gives to the team. He pushes out lanes if he wants Necro Book push out lanes by himself. But the more important one, I think, is the vision that he gives from his Hawk. He gives this vision. In days, sentries are a little more hard to come by. You only get 10. So this Hawk kind of scouts the whole team, and once you see a hero or 2, you are free to farm the other part of the map.
So the Rubik here for OG does give us some information here. With the Elder Titan being played almost exclusively in the support position, tells us more than likely this is going to be an Ana Wisp again.
Grimstroke matches up well with the Beastmaster. You can double Roar. It's also one of the better heroes against Wisp from the support. If he ever is going to relocate in, it's going to be 2 heroes. That's a free ult. You can instantly get a double Roar. You can get double, Grave Chills from the Visage, Soul Assumptions. There's all these combos that they have built in, and it's also one of the better scaling supports. He has an early game GPN talent, so he can maybe get a sheep if the game goes past 35 minutes, which, as you said, might not happen.
If OG has anything to say about it, it won't. But I think we need to talk a little more as it becomes clear that this is potentially going to be another Ana IO. How do you counter core IO? Because it certainly looked like nobody in the group stage figured it out.
I think Pipe is one of the more important things. His level 15 talent with the Ags is really scary. It does so much damage. I think it's like 150 per sphere.
Against IO, you try to fight him before he has his timing. His insane power spike is his 15 with Aghanims, because then he gets a talent, the permanent balls and whatever. And then, like Anna was saying, like if you have good sustain with Pipe and maybe some Greaves hero, I think then you have a good shot at playing against the hero.
Yeah, and I like you guys talked about Bristleback earlier on. I really like this pick here. Number one, obviously the physical damage, but Bristleback is a better tower hitter than people give him credit for talents now.
Also, in the mid game, if this is probably a 3 Bristle, the Wisp is going to tether to him. If he goes out Heart build, the Bristle can't die.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, the Bristle is going to have 500 movement speed. His passive and phase boots, this Wisp and this Bristle are going to run around. In the mid game, they're going to hit your towers. You're going to be so scared. You know, maybe the Bristle gives the Wisp a Solar Crest, so the Wisp also hits fast. They kind of take these buildings really quickly.
And I really like the way you put that, right? I think we as casters and analysts sometimes overuse the phrase, oh, this hero can't die. That doesn't matter unless that hero is really doing something to threaten, and this Bristleback is going to be in a great position in this game to do that, create so much chaos.
It also is one of those nice heroes where they feel forced to jump on you. You're hitting they kind of clump on this Bristle, they're going to get 3-man stomped. You know, the Wisp is going to reload in, they're going to get an Earth Splitter, and then the team fight's going to look a little scary.
All right, very nice. Going into the 5th phase here, it's actually NEWBEE banning out the Ember Spirit, despite that being one of the signature heroes lately for CCNC. We're waiting on the final ban coming out from OG here. What do you think we're looking at for that 5th pick for both teams?
I think a Crossvex Invoker would round out OG's lineup very well. I like it very much against NEWBEE's kind of team fight, and I think it just synergizes so well with OG. I think it would give NEWBEE such a hard time to play this game.
So I guess this Tiny or this Visage have to be cores now, right? One of the two. So I think the Bristle pick is going to make this Tiny core a little scarier, but on the other side, I think the Visage is way scarier to play against as the Bristle. So I think NEWBEE's going to be more inclined to put this Tiny on the mid lane, or what they could do is they put the Tiny with the Grim in the safe lane. And they kind of do this big combo to try to burst the Bristle in the lane. He has Inkswell, you know, he tosses avalanches. So I think NEWBEE is just going to pick a hard carry that they're going to make space for with these 4.
I really agree. And I wonder if you guys agree with me, just overall as we take a step back from the individual hero mechanics, I feel like NEWBEE have really had an answer to OG so far in this draft. Are you surprised by that?
I'm surprised by this.
Omni Knight pick. All right. Well, you want to talk about heroes not dying. So what are the lanes here for OG?
Mid Omni Knight, maybe?
Okay.
So, yeah.
I think mid Wisp or mid Bristle.
I don't know.
I want to see it.
Is it OG Radiant? I believe they're Radiant, right?
I believe so, yes.
So if OG's Radiant, the Bristle can actually stack his own Ancients from the mid lane with Quill Spray. So you can just walk under the cliff, Quill Spray, stack his own Ancients, and if he does that every minute for the first 5-6 minutes, he'll hit this level 7, and then he's going to hit level 10 in the next minute.
On NEWBEE, how they put their lanes. I would actually really like Timbersaw here for NEWBEE. I don't know if they're capable of playing all their heroes like that, but they have...
Triple strength cores.
Yeah, 4 strength heroes.
You don't have to worry about scaling too much this patch, I think. A lot of the heroes scale without needing like a hard carry, right? So it's like there's Ags now, there's Moon Shards if maybe this Tiny gets a Moon Shard late game, even the Tiny Ags Daedalus, there's your physical damage in the late game. So this Timbersaw, if they play it with like all their heroes, they can put the Timber mid or top. He's going to have a good game. He's going to slow down the game because OG can't pressure him. Yeah. He can sit in front of all their towers. I think it's a good pick.
I like OD and Timber, but... I don't know if they're gonna pick a... I feel like they might be thinking about Slark. I wouldn't like it as much, but could be something that makes sense. All these heroes that kind of abuse this tankiness or like long fights with high sustain.
Stealer.
think it's okay, but I feel like it might just lack some damage. I don't know if he can cut through those heroes.
Statistically, Lifestealer, there you go. That has been a late game hero in this. Guys, we got a heck of a game here underway. OG facing off against the North American squad for the second year in a row to start their TI main event. But before we throw it over the game, we've got Thanks Purge with the last word.
G opening with their IO in the first phase is not too surprising considering what they've done with the group, done with it in the group stage. And what it's after, it has a really good mid-range, high damage output. So it's not good for IO if the enemy heroes can get right up. It has Bristleback to be really obnoxious and tanky to kind of give it some space in between. And they can also protect it with their Elder Titan Omni-Knight pick. They can buff up his strength and make it hard to disable him. So something that NEWBEE might want to do is maybe try to crush the IO in the lane. They pick potentially really strong lane supports like the Visage. They could potentially tri-lane him, try to nuke him down before he gets a lot of items. Or what they need to do is just hit the back line and blow up those heroes if possible. It's super important that the IO doesn't snowball. If they commit to the IO, they need to kill him without him getting a lot of response kills, matches like we saw in the group stage. So with that said, we're going to throw you guys right over the casters and have an awesome match.
Wonderful. Sind and I think we were spoilt for our second series yesterday. But hey, let's see how we go on the first one. NEWBEE versus OG. We're wondering if there's going to be a draft advantage for OG because we've been drafting this quirky little wisp. But as the panel was saying, it seems like NEWBEE have done preparation.
Really?
I know. Amazing.
Yeah. Both teams have really different lineups and really different win conditions in this game. It's going to be like a complete clash of styles, which has kind of been the case for most of OG's games in the group stage because nobody has their style, so it's a clash of styles every time. As the panel has talked about leading into it, it's really important for newbies to get on comfort heroes, and I think they've drafted a lot of stuff that they've been doing great with that really fits their players and their playstyles. We were debating, I think the Timber saw suggestion. I looked at that draft, I was like, Timber is amazing here, but I was thinking like newbies team identity. Would they put Yawar on a hero like Timbersaw? Are they looking? And they do end up going for the more classic type carry, which doesn't put them on as much of a timer as a Timbersaw. Would have. And maybe that's the mental hit a mid-game timing when you survive that and we'll win late.
I also just like the synergy that comes from the rest of the NEWBEE lineup. Like, we could look at Yawar, but we've been talking about the Grimstroke and what can work with Soulbind. And OG should be aware of this. They were the ones who started trying to find their confidence back at ESL 1 Birmingham by Rollbinds and created this meta that we back into every now and then.
Yep. This does not look very similar to most of OG stuff from the past TI8, and you haven't been watching too much Dota this season. OG have... they've They started playing they've played a little bit of Elder Titan on Jarek. It's no tail on the Elder Titan. Hasn't played that too much this season. Seen a little bit of Omni-Knight, but Thompson, Bristleback, like it's not like they've never played the heroes, okay? But it's not the bread and butter OG and coming up with new cool strategies. So looking forward to seeing how they pull this off in this game.
NEWBEE is able to at least grab, trying to contest no tail for it. Do you actually send his boar over?
Yeah,
so it's going the way of NEWBEE, won the way of OG.
That could have almost been 3-0 if you get the run.
Like we had an undisclosed person who was up here before. All the Goofy flags. It's all they're running, and it's just like every different pose that Goofy can actually take. OG, as they said, like mental kind of play against him, making up on top lane, snaking an MSS. They put the Soul Assumption into him already. And this is the lane that we have in the group stage as well. The ET, who could just get so much in a dual lane, it's enough. So he runs back in with now plus 55 damage at level 1 and just wants to beat the MSS with the Soul Assumption, as long as MSS has the sustain.
Yeah, I think OG... would like because he's low on regen in the lane. He hasn't brought too much stuff. No mangoes, because he wants to go for this quick fast siege. And he will use the courier soon to get up some mana here. Because Visage without mana in lane is real weak. Low resources in lane, just not very good damage, weak animation, bad armor, and port.
I want to also just keep a side eye on that mid lane. CCNC versus Thompson. We just go to the Grand camera. We never move away. He's already 9-3 up against the 5-0 Thompson, who's got an extra little bit of a wave coming his way though. But CCNC actually got a nice toss back onto Thompson. So he took some damage from the tier 1 tower. Maybe not exactly what Thompson was looking for, but it does just make you think a little bit more about how the positional play is going to be coming in here from OG. How can you actually fight against NEWBEE and actually win a positional battle? Obviously you have an IO, but getting slowed up or controlled up by Grimstroke with the stuns that come from him, open wounds, you got another slowdown through the Grave Shield, you got Beastmaster Roar, Tiny Toss, Avalanche, like it just seems to come to control.
The key hero of the strategy for About, because he's the true enabler of the lineup. He needs to hard dispel the Roar, he needs to protect the IO or the Bristol, whoever is the carry of the game. We'll wait left. And yeah, he is because if they don't sustain long enough, they can just get killed off by burst.
Really thinking about diving CCNC underneath the tier 2 tower and maybe a little bit too deep. Is there any support that wants to TP over a little bit more? Hit him with the tree. Tour spray stack the tree toss. It's so much damage, but not enough. 29 HP. And CCNC has to move to the north side of the tower. This is why we
himself to this neutral camp. CCNC.
But all right, Alphas win.
Down for 25 seconds. CCNC right now, I think, should be nuking out this wave and suicide to the tower. That way he gets all the experience in gold here and gets back sack play. He's buying a bottle. And I think he's just going to kill himself. Yes, perfect. This is the best play you could make.
Thompson fortified, probably just to make sure that CCNC can't get every single CS there.
It's just one.
Yeah. Hey,
but
one counts for it all.
Rather than that, right? The more important thing about the glyph was that he gets the experience coming back, because if he hadn't glyphed that wave, he would have lost a full wave in tower before his respawn. This way he protects 3 of the enemy creeps, keeping it in. I love the way the glyph has evolved since it got implemented. Like, people have got more and more creative with how to use it. Outside of the obvious intended way it was implemented originally, it started affecting creeps. You can do a lot of
course, it's copying a lot of damage. CCNC nuking down the wave when tossing back Thompson. So he took all the brunt of the damage from the towers.
CCNC has a haste rune. When he gets Avalanche again, Thompson could just flat out die here. Half HP, he has no regen. Does he have anything coming in? No, he doesn't.
Courier only brings in, well, he's got a mango. He's backing up for the 5-minute shrine.
Yes, might stack a camp or 2 as well to farm with Quills. Actually, it's just going to farm a doubles.
Man, up on top lane, snaking. Heavy amounts of damage. Nortel still got that plus 115. Snaking's low. MSS needs a load of extra space. Got his 4-stick charges, so Nortel's not going to force this issue.
Now it's time for bounties.
CCNC's coming over for the 5-minute bounty runes. And if he moves fast enough, he might even get his own opening as Lifestealer. Yawar with a follow-up stun. But this is 4 bounty runes going the way of NEWBEE.
That's really, really big for them.
That actually 1 bounty rune. This is it's like so far. Good thing they're not running Alchemist.
Different approach entirely to the game. But yeah, that's the same as getting like 2 kills in terms of...
I still wonder, like, how long does this keep going this way? Like, you got 1 kill away, 1,000 to NEWBEE, the CS. Seem these timings from OG. Once Anna gets a little bit bigger,